All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a unique panel discussion that is inspired by GITEX global theme of future health. And in today's discussion, we have Phygital, the future of sports and wellness in the digital age. With that, we have the right experts with us right now, our panelists, Mr. Nis and Mr. Sol. Let's give them a bit of energy, ladies and gentlemen. They will be sharing their expertise on the future of sports, what it looks like, and not only to the global youth of today, but for generations to come. With that in mind, we ask ourselves, what does the future of sport look like? That's why we have Mr. Nishad with us right now. Mr. Nis is the CEO of Phygital International, and he will be speaking to us today about the growing phenomenon that is Phygital sports. We know this movement is becoming hugely popular globally, breaking down barriers to sporting participations. And some people here, and I hope all of you here are aware and familiar with the pinnacle of the sporting calendar, being the Games of the Future, which excitingly will be taking place over here in the UAE next year. So, Games of the Future welcomes you every single time. And Games of the Future welcomes you regardless of your gender, nationality, and age. And this is why we have Mr. Nis who will be able to tell us more about that. And as well, we have the legendary, the renowned Mr. Sol with us here this afternoon. And Mr. Sol will be chatting with us about the impact of AI on the world of sport and future health. And exactly how is AI working to break down the barriers to sporting participation globally by utilizing wellness and fitness programs. Mr. Sol is also known for working on the forefront of sporting technology and will be examining how this industry is looking to embrace diversity and inclusion. Now we have a lot to go through, so let us jump right in. And we start with Mr. Nis. Let's give him a round of applause for Mr. Nis.
It's a big pleasure for me to be here at GITEX Dubai today to talk a little bit about Phygital International and Games of the Future. Very quickly about myself, I'm the CEO of Phygital International, which by the way happens to be home-based, headquarter-based here in Dubai. And before that, I spent 16 years in Switzerland. 11 of those I spent in the southern part of Switzerland called Lausanne, where I was the CEO of an organization called Sport & Cause that was basically an umbrella organization for 125 international sports federations around the world. So this is what brought me into this new groundbreaking concept of Phygital International.
And I believe Phygital International is really promoting health and wellness. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Certainly, and it was also quite interesting walking in here just before where I saw there was a lot of presentations about healthcare. So what we do know is that when we look around the world, we see that the population around the world, they have an increase in obesity rate. And with the concept of Phygital International and Games of the Future, we have a mix that's called a merger and marriage of the more classical traditional sports and the digital sports. So this is why we have the physical and the digital merging into the Phygital.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about how Phygital develops new sports and new challenges as you continue on.
So what we are doing is that we, as I just mentioned, we have merged the concept of the physical, classical and the digital into the Phygital environment, exactly for the purpose of making sure that you have and can touch the young audience. My son back home, he is sometimes pointing to a screen in the living room saying that what is that there and what piece of furniture is it. He hardly knows that it's a TV set because today at this time in age where technology, and we can see that around us here today, is moving so fast that people they want to engage on their handheld devices and basically have an action impact on what is going on and not be sat in front of a TV set and just sit and look at whatever games is out there. So this is part of the outreach.
Well, that's very, very good. Can you tell us a little bit more about the pinnacle of the digital sports calendar being the Games of the Future?
So Games of the Future, as was we've said here before, it's an annual event and it literally travels around the world, and as I hope many of you have heard, next year we will actually be in the UAE with Games of the Future 2025. And just yesterday, we also announced the host for 2026, which is going to be Kazakhstan in Astana. So already now we're lining up a number of hosts, and basically, I would say every week we have new countries joining our community and signing up both as members around the world, but certainly also as interested parties in hosting Games of the Future.
Amazing. Please make sure that you sign up. Now, one more thing that's very relevant to where we are today in the UAE. Now that the event that's being hosted in 2025 for Games of the Future being in the UAE, how does that make you feel?
I think it's fair to say it makes me super excited. It makes me proud. It makes me happy.
You have been very excited when we were talking.
It makes me smile because walking in here, coming through the pavilion here, it was all about the gamers sitting there gaming, but certainly also the wider reach of what has been done here in the UAE in terms of advanced technologies, artificial intelligence. The whole area here today, and by the way, not just today, is about the future steps in technology and where the world is moving very, very fast. And there is no doubt in my mind that the UAE is certainly at the forefront of what goes on, not just in the region, not just within the UAE, but actually in the world. They're really world leaders in what they do.
Congratulations, sir. It is very exciting. As a gamer and as someone who's outdated on my own sport activities, I think this is an inspiration to a lot of us. Thank you again. Please, one more round of applause for Mr. Nis, and I want to hear it loud. Good. Now, moving on, I'm going to give you a little voice, Mr. Sol. Moving on to the star of the show, the footballer we all know and love. How are you, Mr. Sol?
Amazing.
How do you feel?
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you.
I love the guy, and he always, I've seen it from afar, and it's just grown to an amazing place. And keeps on changing, keeps on evolving. It's beautiful, looking at all aspects. It's a wonderful place, and so uniquely placed in the world.
Amazing. And what you have achieved and what you continue to achieve and innovate quite literally speaks for itself. I am a big fan of you and what you've done so far, and especially what I got to learn recently. So, I want to ask you something, and I really want to know what's on your mind. What do you think is the greatest technological advancement in sports, health, and wellness that is currently available?
I think when you look at the health side, I remember when I first started football in sports, if you got transferred or you got medical, it was moving up and down, and maybe running the treadmill, and done, you're in, sign a contract here and there. Now you've got millions of pounds at stake, or even if you're free, hundreds of thousands of pounds per week. So now that kind of technology when it comes to health and checking you out, now you've got sensors on your body, the line still for 15, 20 minutes, making sure it's taking everything from your heart, the blood is being taken as well to make sure everything's fine. That technology side has just gone to another level, almost like another planet. I think also technology when it comes to teaching, which I want to go into more, teaching the next generation when it comes to football or sports.
I think a lot of kids will be very excited to do that with you. And hell, even me. I am a bit like, I tried the sport recently, or like this workout recently where they put things on your body to electrify and like stimulate the movement of your muscles. And I'm like, I can move. And they're like, no, just try it out, try it a session. It was phenomenal. I felt like I was being like, I don't know, it just felt amazing. So I get to see that technological advancement, and of course what you are contributing to is absolutely amazing. Now here's another question. Do you think the emergence of digital sport will help break down barriers to sport participation for young people or pretty much people of any age?
It will, because at the moment I have children, they're on the games or in sitting on the sofa playing games, and I got them to kind of move forward and play tennis, the high level tennis players. But if you haven't got that, you might end up with kids that are just in the basement, in the rooms, or in the kitchens, and they don't get out of there. So this is a great way of bringing the digital side and the physical side together, and I love that. And you release endorphins into your system, which are all good for positive thinking. And then you play sports and can lead into other areas as well. So that's the beautiful thing about combining these two aspects of the digital and the physical side. And I'm all for it. And I love this space. I'm more football or sports, and I know the gaps in football that need to be moved forward and progressed. Then I'm a massive champion of diversity as well. I think that's a big thing when it comes to allowing every culture into this. Intelligence is everywhere around the world. It's not limited to a few places. And I think that's the beautiful thing about making sure that everybody comes along on a journey and no one gets left behind. And in some aspects of society, I think you've got Silicon Valley, things like that. That needs more diversity, but maybe that's kind of, we can see the history. We don't want that repeating in this space. I think everyone should come along for the journey.
What do you think could be better improvements to make for when it comes to diversity in any kind of the sports, or the new inclusions that will be included as they continue to evolve? What are some of the improvements that can really just take them to the next level? I mean, your answer now to this question is backed up by over 20 years of your experience. So I strongly believe what you're about to say might actually venture out to generations.
Many years ago, I did a program with Telefonica. They used to control a lot of the tech, a lot of the communications in the UK, and they had a side kind of project that allowing underprivileged people to come into it. I tried to sort out something in Tottenham Hale. By then I moved to Arsenal, so it was a little bit difficult for me to go back to Tottenham Hale. It's not Tottenham, but it was close enough. And I tried to push that project through. The London Mayor at the time, he kind of put a halt to it. Maybe they've moved into something else, and so it's their idea. But I'm always looking. You bring technology into these areas, and you seek people out. You find people who sometimes have amazing ideas, but can't find out how to kind of manifest it and push it into reality. So I mean, that's what it's all about: pushing these projects into these areas around the world where not normally it's going to be based in, and then find the talent. You put enough emphasis, enough promotion, you find people. There's talent and intelligence is everywhere. It's not just money that brings that. You can have Einstein somewhere in Africa, or someone in South America, or whatever. Intelligence is everywhere, and that's what you've got to seek it.
Absolutely, and it's the energy that brings it forward, and the amount of people that want to do better, that want to create something, that want that kind of activation that both you and Mr. Nis are bringing to this part of the world and beyond is phenomenal. There's no other word to say it. It is legitimately phenomenal. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about me, right? So I make music for a living. For those here who don't know, I make music for a living, one of the things I do. And for everybody living in Dubai, I'm very sorry about the music for insurance market, the insurance market. I'm very sorry in case you hate me because of that. But what I can tell you is when I worked on sport brands to create the music for them, the amount of energy that I felt during that creation process was incredible. Because yes, I had an idea and a brief But when it was finalized, when it was created, when I heard it live and to see people's reactions, I started to understand just how much people value the idea of sports, whether digital or physical, which is why it's amazing to have digital, right? But at the same time, your expertise speak on a global scale. And with that in mind, the advancements that will happen and the advice that you're giving and the activations that you're responsible for and beyond will only paint a better, a brighter, and a bigger picture. Please let's give a big round of applause for the legendary Mr. Soul. Now, let's go back to physical sports as an actual component and an important component in the digital concept. Yes, there is digital, but it starts out with physical for a reason. And this includes a lot of the new things that are coming forward. Because for me, so I'm a gamer, I like video games. I've been playing video games like a lot of you, I'm guessing. And I'm guessing you played some video games in your life. You have as well. We all have. And they're an important part of our lives. But the way that we bring it forward from the digital to the physical, especially sports games, is incredible because people really enjoy to have that combination and all of the positive effects that you have when it comes to physical sports. I'm guessing you feel quite amazing after a proper workout, all of us. So that is a big, big deal to combine both of them. And at the same time to advocate for health and members. Like everything that has to do with wellness and health for the people who are into games will only continue to help them grow and only continue to help them truly give it on. So when it comes to esports and the positive effects that it has on the traditional sports industry, I believe that UAE hosting the Games of the Future is so embedded with tech and innovation that this land offers with the ideas and the thoughts that come with it. Mr. Nis, do you have any other comments or any other thoughts you would like to share on the conversation today? Any remarks that you may want to share with the people?
Well, it's some of the things that Sol mentioned here before that resonates really, really well and sits well with the digital concept and also with the Games of the Future, whereby Games of the Future is really, truly an event, it's a happening that is all inclusive. So we don't care about nationalities, we don't care about genders, we don't care about politics. It's truly a global event that is for everybody. And so what triggered me by you being a star athlete yourself, because one thing is that you have little kids like my son at home looking at you and say, whoa, I want to become like you one day. But we also know that when you have star athletes coming to the end of their career and the light switches off, it's a little bit like, what now? But then there is an afterlife where actually they can become part of the digital movement, both as an ambassador, as a star that the young kids are looking up to and say, hey, and then start combining those roles. So that means that for great athletes like Sol, there's certainly a purpose in life after the football career finishes and ends, and that could be anything within the digital movement. And one thing also that I would like to mention, because we are now here at the GITEX in Dubai, super busy, super tech oriented obviously, but the world never sleeps and evolution and development never sleeps. This is also why we have what we call the digital laboratory, which is something that we take very serious, where we take good ideas, a little bit like the previous presentation when we talk about the pharmaceutical industry. We put in a little idea in an incubator, a greenhouse, and then you develop that idea. And you come through the pipeline and out comes a new product at the end. Because we have to keep at the forefront of development all the time. We cannot just sit and rest on the laurels and say what we did yesterday is also for tomorrow. It's certainly not. We have to keep developing and making sure that we are at the forefront of technology, and last but not least also what the world and the people they need.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Mr. Soul, do you have any closing remarks?
I think for me it's all about, knowing my sport inside out and being almost a teacher, educating the future, the footballers, the sportsmen and women of the future. Or if someone is going through a bad time, you know, how to get through it, and listening to stories. You know, I'm creating a video podcast, so telling stories of the past, and then the fitness side as well, and then the coaching side. So for me, I'm building things that will help, you know, sportsmen and women of the future, and hopefully it goes beyond me. You know, once it starts and things like that, within 4 or 5 years, there will probably be another two other companies trying to copy me. But that's what I see in football, and I see the future of education.
Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Insightful thoughts, food for thoughts, and everywhere in between. Ladies and gentlemen, Games of the Future is happening here in the UAE in 2025. Now, it wouldn't be me if I don't give you a little special voice, because Games of the Future is now coming to the UAE. And as of last night, we now know that the year after will be in Kazakhstan. And that's gonna give it another energy for another time. So ladies and gentlemen, please, I want you to put in the even biggest, the heartiest, and the most loving clap for the incredible panelists that we have here today. And a big clap for yourself. I'd like to hear, actually, I'll tell you how I want to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you must be clapping from the bottom of your heart. In 3, 2, 1, and now! Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're very, very grateful. And he's here. He's right.
Not AI.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, sir.